Hey, what's up, everyone? Good evening. It's Saturday, September 20th, 2025. My name is Bradford Best, and I'm here to discuss week three, top plays for Draftkings. Talk a little bit about FanDuel as well. As y'all know, my motto is count the wins as blessings, losses teach lessons. Quick review from week two. I didn't have much success. There were some things that I was right on, but there was also some things that I missed, and it was kind of like a crazy week. Some of the things that I missed, I was big on Josh Allen for week two. The Bills, they scored 30 points, but Josh Allen, he didn't even account for a passing or a rushing touchdown. So that was just something I lost out on, out of my three lineups. I also put a lot of stock in Derrick Henry. He only had like 23 rushing yards. Those were two of the things that I missed on. And then that Kansas City and Philadelphia Eagles game, I expected it to be more offense. I expected the total to hit the over. That game only had like 37 points, so those were some of the things that I missed on week two. I was right about what you call it, the running back for Dallas, Javonte Williams. He had a good game. I was right on that. Also, C.D. Lamb, he had a good game. But overall, I didn't really have much success. But that's week two. We're gonna move on to week three. Oh yeah, Christian McCaffrey, he had a good game as well, but he was chalked. So having him in your lineup, it really didn't make that much of a difference. But enough of week two. Let me go ahead and start talking about this week three slate. It's a 13 gamer, and I think this is the first week of the season where there's a lot of impactful injuries across the league. There's a lot of backup quarterbacks that's going to be starting this week. I can think of a running back or two that may be out. Some guys is questionable. So a lot of key injuries this week that we have to pay attention to, and that also brings potential value that we can have for our lineups. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and shoot your questions and comments, and I'll definitely respond to them. But let's get this started. First game on the slate, Las Vegas Raiders at the Washington Commanders, 43.5 over-under total, with the Commanders being favored by 3. And with the first game, one of the major injuries on the slate, Jaden Daniels has been ruled out for Washington, and Marcus Mariota will be the starter. Also, Austin Eckler, he's out for the season. I think he got hurt in week one. I can't remember if he got hurt. He got hurt in week two on that Thursday night game. But two of their starters, they're out for the season. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get to that game. That's in the late window game. So for this first game, with Washington and Las Vegas, I think the running back, I can't remember the rookie name. Let me go to it. Merritt. Give me a moment. Here we go. Yeah, Krosky Merritt. I think he's a viable option because he's going to be playing the number one role. He's 5,500 on DK. I think he's like 5,500 or 5,600 on FanDuel. He's viable, but when we talk about more games on the slate, there's going to be another running back that's in a value spot who's in a better position as him. But just because of his role that he will have, Washington, they are home favorites in the low salary price. I do think Krosky Merritt is a valuable option at running back this week. I'm not going to say he's a great play, but he's definitely someone to consider. As far as at quarterback, On DK, Marcus Mariota, he's that minimum price of 4,000, and on FanDuel, he's that minimum price of 6,000. I don't really like Mariota this week. I think there's better value. I'll just say in Minnesota, I think the Minnesota value is better. So when I was talking about Krosky Merritt, I kind of like Jordan Mason better. And the same thing at the quarterback position. When we talk about Mariota, I just prefer to take my chances on Carson Wentz at the same price for Minnesota. However, from an ownership perspective, I would expect the Minnesota value to have higher ownership. So these Washington pieces, they could serve as good pivots and could help you from an ownership perspective. And as y'all know, I don't play 150 lineups at the moment. Right now I'm doing like 3 entries every week. So, for me, I'm a fade Mariota. But I say all that to say because of their price points and when you consider the ownership factors, Mariota and Krosky Merritt, they're in play. They're viable options. But for me, myself, I'm probably going to fade them. I do think in 1 out of 3 lineups, I do have Krosky Merritt as one of my running backs in one of my 3 lineups. Outside of those 2 players on Washington, I'm not really intrigued by any of their other plays. I just think with Jaden Daniels being absent, it's gonna have a negative impact on Washington's passing game. So, I just don't see Terry McLaurin or Deebo Samuel having ceiling games. Another thing to consider about Marcus Mariota, he's a quarterback that like to use his legs. So if you are considering playing Mariota, there is a chance he could get in the end zone when they get in those goal line opportunities. But outside of value, Washington, I think they're viable. But for me, I'm really not going to play those guys in my three entry sets, except for maybe Krosky Merritt. But I'm not playing Mariota. But I understand why you would play him. On the Las Vegas side, I think we all know that. And what's the tight end name? Goodness gracious, the tight end for Las Vegas. Sorry, Brock Bowers, 6,000 on DK. I think he's like 7,000 on FanDuel or something like that. He's always a viable one-off option. Yeah, Bowers. I don't have him, but stacking him, with Krosky Merritt, if this game just somehow goes off, that could be a good cross game stack with Krosky Merritt and Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, he's a tight end, but he's really like their number one option in the pass game. So, I don't mind Brock Bowers as a one-off. And then I want to say site specific. I do like the Raiders defense. I think the Raiders defense, they're priced at like 2,300, but I think they're priced with they're priced for like facing a Jaden Daniels defense. So that's why they're low price. So being that they're facing a backup quarterback and defenses can be highly volatile. So I do like their defense on DK at 2,300. I may have the Raiders defense in all 3 lineups or maybe 2, but I like the Raiders defense for value. And with that, I think that's all I have to say about that game right there. So it's 13 games. So I'm going to just try to get to the point and keep it moving. Second game on the slate is going to be my team, the Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. This game has a 43.5 over-under total, with the Atlanta Falcons being favored by 5.5 points. So the main piece in this game that I think is a great option to play for tournaments is going to be Bijan Robinson, 7,900 on DK. Let's say 9,500 if I remember correctly on FanDuel. But Bijan, he's arguably one of the top 2-3 running backs in the league this year. Last week on Sunday Night Football, he had 25 touches, put up 22.8 DK points. These Carolina Panthers, they're bottom ranked versus defending the run. The Falcons are favored in this game. So, I love Bijan this week. The only thing, sometimes they do use Tyler Algier to get carries, but Bijan, he's such a high usage player. I think he's just a great play. Yeah, I do like Bijan a lot. Now, outside of Bijan Robinson on the Falcons really haven't shown through the first 2 weeks the ability to really get their receivers involved in the passing game. I was high on Drake London week 1. He didn't really do much. Week 2, it was all about the running backs. I think between Bijan and Tyler Algier, they had 160 yards rushing combined. Pitts had a few catches, but they just haven't really done it as far as with the receivers that much. So I'm not really high on Drake London and Darnell Mooney this week. I think for right now, early in the season, the Falcons are focused on short yardage gains and getting the running backs involved. So this game is just Bijan, and I like the Falcons defense. I think that's a good little stack. I do think I have that little stat combo in the lineup on FanDuel. Bijan at running back and the Falcons defense. Carolina side, don't really have interest in it. I do know that I think his name is Tech McMillan, the rookie wide receiver from Arizona, I believe. He had 6 catches, 100 yards receiving. When these two teams, the Falcons and the Panthers, played the last week of the season last year, it was like a shootout. The game was high scoring and Carolina beat us. So, if you're mass multi-entering, doing 150 lineups, I can understand, maybe getting some exposure to Carolina. But this week, I'm trying to focus on, the strong value and just build ceiling plays around the strong value plays that I have in my lineup. So, Carolina is going to be a fade for me. And like I said earlier in this game, I just like Bijan Robinson and the Falcons team defense. Game number three, Green Bay Packers at the Cleveland Browns, 41.5 over-under total. Green Bay Packers favored by 7.5 points. As I was building my 3 lineups on each site, I really didn't get to this game. I think it was announced earlier today that Kraft, the tight end, he's expected to play. We know that Jaden Reed, he's out for a few weeks with the collarbone injury. But the thing about Green Bay, they spread their offense around so much. The usage is not really condensed or concentrated to one. At running back, Jacobs, he gets his carry. He gets a healthy number of carries. So, he could go off. But like I mentioned earlier, there's some value on this slate at running backs. So, Green Bay, not saying they're not going to do anything, but I just really don't see any value or strong ceiling plays from this game. If I had to pick someone, I guess maybe Jacobs, because of the high volume of touches that he get every game. He always getting close around 20 touches every game. Green Bay defense, yeah, you can play them. They're 7-point favorites. Michael Parsons has really impacted this defense in a positive way. So yeah, but they're probably going to be expensive. I really don't like to pay up for defense. I try to pay down for defense with my lineup construction. So yeah, Green Bay, don't really see anything that really intrigues me. On Cleveland side, I do have slight interest in this tight end. I don't know. I think he's a rookie. I don't know where he came from. Let me pull him up real quick. Is it Fannin? What's this guy first name? Harold Fannin Jr. He's 3,600 on DK. Um, through the first 2 weeks of the season, he's had 12. What is that? 12 catches on 14 targets. He's cheap. Cleveland, they should, be in a position where they're trailing in this game, so he will have those target opportunities. I don't mind. I don't mind Harold Fanning Jr. I think he's in play. Um, Other than that, I don't want to play whatever running back they have. Who is it? Sampson and Jerome Ford, and don't want to play Flacco. Don't have any interest in Judy. Don't have any interest in Tillman. Yeah, Harold Fanning Jr. as value, that would probably be maybe the one play that I would have interest in from the Cleveland Browns side of this game. But overall, this is just a game that that I'm not really looking to target that much within my three lineups. Let's go ahead and move to this next game. I think this is game number 4. I think Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots, 44.5 over under total. Pittsburgh Steelers favored by 1.5 points. So this game got a close spread. I think there are some plays that I have interest in. In one of my three lineups on DK, I got DK Metcalf. He's at a mid-tier price at 5,700. So I like DK Metcalf as a one-off. I think on the Patriots side, Ramondre Stevenson, he could be an interesting play because, at running back, the chalk is going to eat up a lot of the running back positions with Jordan Mason, I believe, Kenneth Walker, who I'll talk about later. And then you got Bijan, Christian McCaffrey. So just from an ownership standpoint, if you're different at running back and that running back just goes off and have a ceiling game, that's one of the ways you can get to the top of the tournament. Just look at James Cook in week 2. Like, nobody was playing him, and he was in a lot of the winning lineups on both sites. So, yeah. So when you're thinking about ownership, yeah, I think Ramondre Stevenson is in play just from an ownership perspective. And like I said, I like DK Metcalf. And when you see the Steelers and the Patriots, a lot of times you think historically of like two good defensive teams. But when I was doing research earlier, the Steelers, and the Patriots, they haven't been good at defense this year. They've given up a lot of offensive production. So Drake May, I think he's in play. Let me see what his price is real quick. Drake May, he's 5,300. So he's at a nice price on DK, and he's shown he's a quarterback that's mobile, that can get it done, on the ground, rushing in those goal line areas. And then look at last week at Miami. He put up 26.3 DK points. And this week he's at home versus Steelers defense. I don't know exactly where they are ranking wise, but they're not near the top. So yeah, I'm for full disclosure, I'm not playing Drake May, but I do think there's viable plays in this game. This could be one of those sneaky games that you don't expect to go off because of the total and everything, and everybody be low owned, and they could be the plays that can help you win. Um, I think about week 1 when it was the Steelers and the Jets, lowest total on the whole slate at like 37.5, and everybody in the industry was like, scratching that game off, talking about they fading it, not playing it at all, including myself. And that was like the best game on week 1. That was the game that scored all the points, and that was the game that was in those tournament winning lineups. So yeah, I think this is a okay game. Again, I don't think I have anything in this game across my 3 lineups on each site, but just giving I'm just giving some context onto why I think you could play those games if you want to be different, and if you're more focused on like having lower owned plays in your lineup. Next game we're going to is going to be the Los Angeles Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. 44.5 over under total. Philadelphia Eagles favored by 3.5 points. So it's been interesting with Philadelphia this year. They just been running the ball and doing tush pushes, and their receivers haven't really been that involved in the offense. A.J. Brown hasn't done much this year through 2 games, nor has Devontae Smith. It's been about pretty much Jalen Hurts. They've been doing like a grinded out type of game. This week, Dallas Goedert, he's returning. He had a 1-game absence because of an injury, and he's returning back. So let me start on the Philadelphia side. They're in a good position. They're at home, but I just don't see any value in their salaries. And again, I'm playing 3 lineups, so Philadelphia, they're pretty much a fade for me, just from a 3 lineup context. If you're playing 150, yeah, you can get some exposure to them. On the other side of the game, I think that the wide receivers on the Rams are somewhat strong plays. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, they get high usage targets in the pass game. Through 2 games, Puka Nacua, he's had 20 targets. And let me look at Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, through 2 games, he's had 21 targets. Devontae Adams is 6,200 on DK. Puka Nacua, 7,700. The Eagles, they have been a team that is hard to run the ball against. So if that holds true, then one, if not both of those guys could have strong games. So I don't mind Puka or Devontae as one-offs. I may have got to Devontae Adams in one of my FanDuel lineups. I have to check it out, but yeah, overall, again, this is not a game that I'm highly focused on, but there are some plays in the game that are strong and viable. Next game on the slate, Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans, 43.5 over under total. Indianapolis Colts favored by 4.5 points. Yeah, Tennessee, I have no interest in anybody on Tennessee. No Cam Ward, no Calvin Ridley, no Tony Pollard. Yeah, they could go off, but they haven't done anything so far. And their offense, they just look like they haven't really gelled yet. And again, with 3 lineups, it's not really worth taking the risk. I don't even know if in 150, if it's even worth taking the risk on Tennessee offensive players. So, yeah, I'm going to say Tennessee is just a complete fade. I don't like them. On the Colts, Daniel Jones, he's been surprising this year. surprising a lot of people. I heard him talking about his odds to win the MVP just increased a lot compared to what they were before the season. But Daniel Jones, 5,400, and he's in play because he's a running quarterback. I don't know if he's going to continue to play at this high level that he's been playing, but yeah, at that price and specifically from an ownership perspective, he should definitely be low owned this week because of all the value. Um, I don't mind him. I won't be playing him in 3 lineups, but I don't mind him, and I understand the logic behind wanting to play him. Michael Pittman is at a good price on DK. I don't even know his FanDuel lineup. I'm focusing on DK for this live video, but Pittman, he's 4,900. Good price, good price. So he could be a good value play as a one-off. And then I think the Colts have a tight end that be playing pretty good this year. Let me go to that real quick. Tyler Warren. Oh no, well his price is kind of up. 4,400 for a tight end on DK. I think that's kind of high. So I think he's a good player, but I don't like Warren's salary this week. There's some tight ends that I'm gonna talk about in the later window that I'm going to strongly endorse. So yeah, I don't like the price on Warren, but if there wasn't a salary, I think he's a fine play as well. But all in all, not really a game that I'm focusing on for my 3 lineups. But that's my take on that. Next game on the slate, New York Jets at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 43.5 over-under total. The Buccaneers favored by 6.5. We got a key injury in this game. That's going to be Justin Fields. He's out with a concussion. And the starting quarterback is going to be Tyrod Taylor. And they got his price up to 4,800. Versus Tampa Bay defense, how the Jets look last week, getting completely destroyed by the Buffalo Bills. For me, I think the Jets are a complete fade. I don't see it. When you're in those contests, 150 max, yeah, people are going to have these stats for all these different teams. That's just the environment when you play in a large field 150 max tournament. But yeah, for a 3-entry max, yeah, I don't see nothing about the Jets that's intriguing at all. So for that reason, the Jets are going to be a fade for me. Tampa Bay, this is going to be their home opener. Baker Mayfield, he's been good this year, but he's the third highest priced quarterback on DK. I think the best play on this team, probably Bucky Irvin. Man, Bucky got those moves. The only thing that be holding Bucky Irvin back is when they put Rashad White, I think that's his name, the backup running back. When he come in and get snaps, that just take away from Bucky Irvin's usage and touchdown opportunities. But when Bucky's on the field, he turns up and he gets involved in the passing game. So 7,100 home favorites. I do like Bucky Irvin. I think he's in play. I'm not really in love with the receivers this week for Tampa Bay. I think this is going to be an easy game for them, and I don't think they're going to need to pass the ball much. So not really high on them. Of course, you're going to like Tampa Bay's defense. Home favorites, favored by 6.5 points. So yeah, like Tampa Bay defense, but I'll say Bucky Irvin and Tampa Bay defense. Those are key plays that I like from this game. I think Baker, just for the context of the slate, his salary may be a little too high. And the Jets, they may not push them this game. So if the Buccaneers aren't getting pushed, then fourth quarter, you might not get a lot of fantasy production. So yeah, not really that high on that game outside of maybe a couple of plays. Now this next game, this I think this is one of the key games of the slate. You're going to definitely have to make some decisions. So I'm going to talk a little more, put a little more emphasis on my thoughts on this game. Cincinnati Bengals at the Minnesota Vikings, 42 and a half over under total, with the Minnesota Vikings favored by 3. A lot of key injuries. Both quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks, are out this game. Joe Burrow is out, and JJ McCarthy is out. So that puts Browning for Cincinnati is going to be the starter, and for Minnesota, it's going to be Carson Wentz. So let me start with my quarterback analysis. Go to their prices. Sorry. All right, Jay Browning, 5,500. I think he's appropriately priced. I'm not sure if there's much value in that. But Carson Wentz, he's 4,000. He hasn't played in a while, but one of my 3 lineups on both sites, I'm definitely using Carson Wentz. I saw last week, I think on both, I know on DK, maybe on FanDuel too. Mac Jones, he was in the winning lineup at quarterback, and sometimes it's not always about how good of a player you think someone is, but sometimes the value is so great that it's just worth playing certain players. And at 4,000, and then again the matchup, Cincinnati last year, their defense was horrible. This year they haven't been that good at defense neither. So I'm all on board for this Carson Wentz value at 4,000. So he's going to definitely be in one of my 3 lineups on both sites. Moving on to the running back position, Aaron Jones, Senior, or what I think that's his name, or Junior. He's on the IR. I would expect Jordan Mason to be very chalky, and I'm going to eat the chalk with Jordan Mason. I think he's priced. Well, let's see. Jordan Mason, when he gets the carries, he's been pretty effective this year, averaging closer to 4 yards per carry. But we all remember last season with the San Francisco 49ers when Christian McCaffrey, when he was out in the first few weeks, man, Jordan Mason was going off. So yeah, I would expect him to be chalky, but I'm eating the chalk. I just think, Jordan Mason at that price, his role, he's going to be the number 1 back. They're favored at home. He's not a star. He hasn't made a lot of money, so he's hungry. He's going to have something to prove. 5,400 on DK. I think 5,800 on FanDuel. Mason and Wentz, they may be chalky, but I think those are some value pieces you need to pay up for other spots in your lineup. And speaking of paying up, continuing with Minnesota, I would play Justin Jefferson. I like Justin Jefferson. I think he's a great play. Again, Cincinnati, they're not like a great defense. And Justin Jefferson, 7,500, that's kind of lower price to what we're used to seeing. We know he's one of the top 3 receivers in the league. This game is in an indoor environment. So, yeah, I like Justin Jefferson. On the other side, I like Jamar Chase. I like him a lot. Browning, he forced this man the ball last game. Man, Jamar Chase had 16 targets, 14 catches in week 2. He's 8,100 on DK. I think he's 9,100 on FanDuel. But this could be a great game stack. Once you put that value for Minnesota, run it back with Jamar Chase, it could be a good game stack. The game has a close spread. You don't have to worry about any adverse weather conditions. So yeah, I do like Jamar Chase. Thinking what else I like in this game. Tight ends. Nah, not really on the tight ends. Yeah, so yeah, both sides of this game, specific mainly the Minnesota side. Carson Wentz and Jordan Mason. I'm gonna eat the chalk. I'm gonna eat the chalk and play both of those guys and in one of my three lineups and Justin Jefferson. I'm gonna play that little 3-man stack and run it back with Jamar Chase on the other side. Now, if the game goes under the total, it'd be a low scoring game, then those lineups, I'm gonna have one on each site. Those lineups with that 4-man stack is probably dead, but that's gonna be a 4-man stack on both sites for me for sure. Carson Wentz, Jordan Mason, Justin Jefferson, running it back with Jamar Chase. That 4-man stack, I will have it both sites, 1 out of 3 lineups. Hopefully the game goes off, and hopefully everything else around that I build around those stacks can help those lineups cash and be successful. But yeah, you definitely want to look at this game. So when you building your lineups tonight, tomorrow morning, you're gonna have to make a decision about this Minnesota value, um, and understand that it will likely be chalky. But the decision that you have to make is it good chalk or is it bad chalk? Me personally, I think it's good chalk, especially Wentz. Like Wentz is just on DK, he's just too low. Now Mason, that could go any way because it's a lot of good running backs on the slate, but it just sticks in my mind about how he was turning up for the 49ers on last year. And I'm not missing out on it if he has a good game. So I'm all in on it. I see 3 people in here. Go ahead and post y'all questions or comments if y'all agree or disagree or got anything to ask me. Next game on the slate, Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. 43.5 over under total, with the Jaguars being favored by 1.5 points. So this game, I only have a slight interest. I'll start with I like Nico Collins. I like him as a one-off. I'll say for DraftKings, I got to go back and check for FanDuel, but let me see. Yeah, Nico Collins, $7,300. We saw last week in week 2. I mean, I know it's different teams, but we saw how Jamar Chase went off on Jacksonville. So Nico Collins, a physical receiver. I don't know if Travis Hunter going to be checking him or not, but he's the main piece of their offense. I think that Christian Kirk is returning this week and maybe somebody else. So maybe with Christian Kirk being back, maybe that opens up more of the offense and maybe it benefits Nico Collins. But at his price point, 7,300, I do like Nico Collins as a one-off. So I like him. On the Jacksonville side, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is good as a one-off as well. ETN, I think he's in consideration because he should have low ownership. And I don't know what happened to the Texans on Monday night, but man, Tampa Bay was running all over them. And if their run defense is playing like that tomorrow, ETN could have a strong game too. And with all the chalk that's going to be at running back, ETN could be a play. I'm not going to play either one of the quarterbacks from this game. I don't think it's worth the risk. So again, I'll just say Nico Collins and Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Etienne. I think those are the 3 best plays from this game right here. And let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. I think this is an important game for me. New Orleans Saints at the Seattle Seahawks, 41.5 over under total. Seahawks favored by 7.5 points. One of the injuries in this game, the backup running back, Charbonnet, he got ruled out, or he's doubtful. I'm sorry, he's doubtful. And if he's out the game, that's just going to give all the opportunity to Kenneth Walker the third. They're at home. They're 7-point favorites. He's coming off a game where he had 105 yards rushing and 13 yards receiving. He's 5,800 on DK. I think 6,600 on FanDuel. I'm all in on Kenneth Walker. I'm all in on him. I think the one time that I had to take down on FanDuel one time, he was in my lineup. But when he gets going, this guy, he's explosive and productive. So again, I'm not sure what his ownership is going to be, but I think just the simple fact that their backup running back going to be out, they're at home and they're favored by like 7 points or whatnot, and his price is not that high. I like Kenneth Walker the third a lot. So I think on FanDuel I may have him in all three lineups, and I may have him in all three lineups on DK too. I like him a lot. So yeah, Kenneth Walker. Keep in mind, JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, they say he's questionable with the illness. So if somehow he get ruled out, then it's going to open up opportunity for Cooper Kupp, who's I think at a fair price. I think he's 4,900. Let me see, Cooper Kupp. This DK, no, he's 5,000. So keep that Jackson Smith and Jigba news. Be sure to pay attention to that. I like Seattle defense. Just like I like stacking the Falcons defense with Bijan Robinson, I do like Seattle Seahawks defense if you can get up to it with Kenneth Walker. Spencer Rattler, I don't think he's that guy. Now, one play that, and this is one of the things I was right on last week. If y'all was with me last week, I had like Christian McCaffrey. Then I was like, I love running it back with Juwan Johnson, the tight end for the Saints. It's the same thing this week. I like Kenneth Walker, and I like running it back with Juwan Johnson, the tight end for the Saints. Juwan Johnson, I don't think he's priced up enough. He's 3,900. He be out on the field like 95% of the snaps. Through 2 weeks, he got 21 targets, 13 catches. Those are like wide receiver numbers. Spencer Rattler, he hasn't been a guy that really pushes the ball downfield. And I think Juwan Johnson is like his favorite target. So I love that cross game stack right there of Kenneth Walker the third running it back with Juwan Johnson at 3,900 on DK. I think he's 57, maybe 5,900 on FanDuel. But yeah, I like him a lot. So I'm going to have that cross game stack in a couple of my lineups. And I'm not going to play Kamara. I'm not going to play the Saints wide receivers or anything like that. My main focus for this game is Kenneth Walker, Juwan Johnson, and paying attention to that Jackson Smith and Jigba news. And I like Seattle's defense. I think we almost to the end. Okay. Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers, 45.5 over under total with the Chargers favored by 3. This game has a decent total, but I didn't really see any fantasy plays that I had a lot of interest in. Like normally I like Lad McConkey, but it seemed like Quentin Johnson is getting more involved in the offense this year. You got Keenan Allen, and it just seems like the offense is spread out. So yeah, I do think the Chargers they probably will score the points, but I think the offensive production would be spread out. So I just don't really like too many plays from this team from a DFS perspective. Denver Broncos. I mean, this is a game where Bo Nix could go crazy. They could be trailing. He's he's typically a good rushing quarterback, but yeah, not for me. With the value on the slate and just some of the other spots that I like, it's just not a game for me. I think everybody is appropriately priced. I don't think there's any value plays, and anybody that's going to do well and get a lot of production, I think they're priced at the right price point. Two more games. Arizona Cardinals at the 49ers. 44 and a half over under total. 49ers favored by 2.5 points. So I think it goes without saying, Christian McCaffrey, he's in play. Coming off a game last week where he had 19 touches, 22.7 DK points. He's getting all the usage right now. They're home favorites. So, yeah, Christian McCaffrey definitely in play. Let me see what Mac Jones' price is this week. Mac Jones. So they pushed him up to 5,000. Yeah, I just think the Carson Wentz value is better than Mac Jones this week. So, yeah, Christian McCaffrey is probably like the only play that I like from this game. I'm well from the 49ers. McBride is probably the second best tight end on the slate. He's in play. That could be a good cross game stack of McCaffrey and McBride. Could make your lineups a little different paying up at tight end. I want to say Kyler Murray, he's always someone to consider simply because of his rushing ability. But the thing is, he feels like he's just so much of a boom or bust type of player for me, because sometimes he get back there and he runs around and loses yards and gets sacks. And sometimes he just have horrible games. So he's just like he's the ultimate boom or bust play in DFS to me. So I'm not playing him this week, but with that being said, he could be a tournament winning play because of his rushing ability. Because when he get going running, running in them touchdowns, and then he could get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved, I could see it happening. And then you have Christian McCaffrey in the same lineup. I could see this game potentially going off. But for me, I think I'm only going to get to McCaffrey just because of the limited number of lineups that I'm playing. All right, last game of the slate. Just the big one. Highest total on the slate, 50 and a half. Cowboys at the Bears. Cowboys favored by 1.5. Cowboys been playing horrible defense this year with no Michael Parsons. They let Russell Wilson throw for over 450 yards on him. Malik Neighbors went off on him. Wan'Dale Robinson went off on him. It was a crazy game. The Bears, they let Detroit go off on them and score 52 points. So when you consider all those factors, the high total, yeah, this is a game that I'm gonna look to. It may be chalky, but you got two weak defenses. You got some star players on both sides. Let's start with Dallas side. I think Dak Prescott is in play. along with CD Lamb and George Pickens. I like that little three-man stack. We all know CD Lamb, very high usage guy, 24 targets through 2 weeks, 16 catches. He's 8,000 on DK. I think he's like 8,800 on FanDuel. He's firmly in place. So, yeah, I like him. George Pickens is their number 2 receiver. I know he scored a touchdown on last week. He's in play as well. Javonte Williams, he's been off to having a good season to start this year. He's in play. On the other side, I like Caleb Williams. I like Rome Aduze. I like DJ Moore. They're in play as well. I think a three-man stack from either side is viable. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Dak Prescott, CD Lamb, George Pickens, running back with Rome Aduze. I like that four-man stack. If you want to go on the other side and go Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Rome Aduze, running back with CD Lamb, I think that four-man stack is viable. I like Ferguson at tight end stacked up with Dak. I think that's in play. If the odds are right, this is a great game to target for DFS. The only thing is it could be popular, and if it busts, then you're not winning nothing. You just with everybody else. But if it goes off, you don't want to miss it. I think one thing that I want to pay attention to before lock tomorrow, it's supposed to be some rain in Chicago. I think like before the game. I don't know about when the game starts, but depending on how the weather is, that could have an impact on the offense for this game. So like right now the total is at 50.5. I'm gonna pay attention to see if the total goes down to like 48 or 47 or something like that. If I see the total going down, I think that's an indication that there may be some bad weather, and that the books think that the offense might go down and the total might hit the unders. So that's something I'm going to pay attention to, because I got a strong feeling, this game is going to be popular and chalky. And when you playing popular and chalky plays, it's cool. It's cool when when everything going off, but if you're able to pivot off of that chalk and the chalk fails, that's a way to win too. So we'll see. So definitely gotta pay attention to that weather report. But definitely this game and that Minnesota and Cincinnati game, I think those are two of the main games that are good for targeting this week. And I think that's the last one, right? Yep, that's the last game on the slate. So quick overview. It's 13 games, a lot of key injuries this week, a lot of potential good value on the slate this week. My approach this week, I like the Minnesota value. Carson Wentz, Jordan Mason. I like that value. I like that game. Justin Jefferson, Chase. I also like the running back for Seattle, Kenneth Walker Jr., with their backup running back being doubtful. I like that. And I like stacking Kenneth Walker Jr. with a cross-game stack of Juwan Johnson for the New Orleans Saints. Team defenses, DK, the Raiders at 2,300. I think they're underpriced, facing a backup quarterback in Mariota. Speaking of Washington, Krosky Merritt is in consideration because he's going to be serving the role as the number one back this week due to their injuries. And then that Dallas and Chicago game, probably the most important game on the slate, highest total on the slate. Both sides got bad defenses. Both sides, well, especially Dallas, got high usage player in CeeDee Lamb. So that's going to be a major decision point. Right now, I think I'm going to be on that game. So that's definitely going to be important. And with that, I think that's all I got to say. Thank you to the few of you guys that tuned in to listen to me talk this week. This video will be posted in the group if you want to come back and listen to all my points from beginning to end. I really haven't had any success these first 2 weeks as far as getting a major win, but that's just what comes with the territory with DFS. So I'm looking forward to week 3. I'm confident that I can get some wins on one of these sites, FanDuel or Draftkings. But again, I thank you guys for tuning in. And again, y'all know what the slogan is: count the wins as blessings, losses teach lessons. Good luck to everyone this week, and I'll try to make sure I'm able to make another video for week 4. All right, catch y'all later.